fly this flag to signal my success.
And I shall speak fondly of you at your funeral.
The third Assassin's Creed was the biggest shakeup the series had seen since Altair first passed the torch to Ezio. Shifting the time period to the American Revolution, it began a new set of stories centered on the Kenway family.
Father.
And it restyled the familiar series mechanics with a brand new engine and streamlined controls. It set us loose to wander in an open wilderness, introduced full-on naval warfare, and shattered our preconceptions about the Founding Fathers.
Makes excuses, displaces blame, does a great many things, in fact, except take responsibility.
Enough!
As we inch closer to Assassin's Creed Syndicate's brave new world of crime and industry, let's take a look at Connor's secret revolution against the Templars and the upheavals it brought to Assassin's Creed.
Well, I was leaving. Oh?
And now?
Well, now... I'm going to feed you your teeth.
We first met Ezio at birth, but our journey with Connor started even earlier, as we spent the first hours of Assassin's Creed 3 with his father, Haytham, the series' first playable Templar. Connor's abilities were far better adapted to the American wilderness, however, as he was able to climb trees, investigate hidden clues, and even hunt and trap wildlife for use in the hugely expanded crafting system. Assassin's Creed 3 also expanded the series' stealth in interesting new ways, letting Connor disappear into low brush, hide in moving hay carts, and sidle up to corners to lure guards to their doom. Connor's new skills didn't end with running around and hiding either. Assassin's Creed 3 overhauled combat, letting Connor execute brutal kills with a melee weapon in one hand and a hidden blade in the other. Where Ezio was able to pause and fire his gun while fighting, Connor could seamlessly incorporate any ranged weapon into his combos and parries, letting him counterattack with gunshots, close-range arrows, strangling snares, explosive trip mines, non-lethal poisons, and enemy-yanking rope darts. Muskets could be used as disposable firearms, enemy-impaling spears, or both, and enemy shots came with just enough warning to let you grab a human shield. If Connor timed his counters just right, there was an excellent chance he could expertly kill two enemies at the same time. And then, of course, there was the simple thrill of catching an enemy unawares with a rope dart and hanging them from a tree. This all came at a cost, however. Where Ezio could extend his life almost indefinitely by buying better armor and taking medicine in the middle of fights, Connor's gear was less customizable, and he had to withdraw and wait for his health to regenerate automatically. This made combat a little tougher, but managing resources became a little easier. Also easier were the streamlined controls, which trimmed parrying down to a single, carefully timed button press, and let players go from a run to a sprint simply by pulling in the right trigger all the way. Comprising Boston, New York, and a vast expanse of settlement-dotted frontier with dynamic weather, Assassin's Creed 3's world was the biggest and most varied the series had seen up to that point, and that meant it needed new ways for players to get around. The fast travel system was retooled to let Connor jump to strategic points from anywhere on the map, although those points first had to be unlocked. That meant capturing forts, or, in the cities, actually exploring a huge series of puzzle-filled labyrinths left behind by the Freemasons. The game's sense of scale also extended to the Davenport homestead. Even bigger than Ezio's Monteregione, the homestead had a more character-driven vibe, as Connor built a small community of civilians, solved their problems, and used their talents in a complex crafting system that could produce equipment upgrades as well as goods for the new trading minigame. Even the Brotherhood recruits felt more like individuals this time, as each one had a distinct look, personality, and skill for you to call on,
Connor!
Some of which replaced the groups of courtesans, mercenaries, and thieves from earlier games. Each one also required a set of short missions to unlock, making their help feel more earned.
I'm for freedom, I know that much.
The biggest additions, however, were entirely outside of the open world. Assassin's Creed 3 introduced full-bore naval combat with an upgradable ship, the Aquila, and while these segments were self-contained and mostly linear, they set the stage for the free-form naval exploration of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Assassin's Creed 3 is also where Desmond finally fulfilled the promise of a modern-day assassin, leaving the Animus for linear missions in gleaming cities and staying one step ahead of his damaged Templar counterpart, Daniel Cross.
All right, Desmond. Game's over.
Assassin's Creed 3 is also especially notable for the adventures that cropped up around it. Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation remains the biggest Assassin's Creed game ever attempted on a handheld, and it brought a series of notable firsts as well. The first female protagonist, Aveline de Grandpré, was also the first assassin to attack from haystacks with a blowgun, and the first to alter her abilities and her enemies' behavior by donning different disguises. It's also worth pointing out that Assassin's Creed 3's DLC expansion, The Tyranny of King Washington, was the first Assassin's Creed project helmed entirely by Assassin's Creed Syndicate developer Ubisoft Quebec, and that the magical eagle flight ability it introduced is functionally similar to the rope launcher used by Jacob and Evie Fry. These were all huge steps forward for the series, but even bigger changes came the following year when Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag steered the series into the open waters of free-form piracy. Until we set sail in our next video, keep your eyes on Ubiblog for more Assassin's Creed.